Pope Francis, the beloved head of the Roman Catholic Church and a transformative global religious leader, passed away on Easter Monday, April 21, 2025, at the age of 88. His death was announced by Cardinal Kevin Farrell, Camerlengo of the Holy Roman Church, in a solemn statement delivered from the chapel of the Domus Sancti Marthi in Vatican City. "With deep sorrow I must announce the death of our Holy Father Francis," Cardinal Farrell stated. At 7:35 a.m. this morning, the Bishop of Rome, Francis, returned to the house of the Father. His entire life was dedicated to the service of the Lord and His Church. The Vatican confirmed that the Pope died peacefully in his residence at Casa Santa Marta, just a day after delivering the traditional Urbi et Orbi Easter blessing to thousands gathered in St. Peter's Square. The news of his passing came a month after his discharge from a Roman hospital, where he had been treated for double pneumonia during a 38-day stay. Despite his fragile condition, he appeared before the faithful on Easter Sunday, visibly frail but determined to continue his spiritual mission. His final public act demonstrated the perseverance and pastoral commitment that characterized his papacy. Born Jorge Mario Bergoglio on December 17, 1936, in Buenos Aires, Argentina, Pope Francis was elected in March 2013 following the resignation of Pope Benedict XVI. He made history as the first Latin American pope, the first Jesuit to assume the papacy, and the first non-European pope in more than 1,200 years. His election was seen as a shift toward a more humble, pastoral church, and his papacy reflected a deep concern for the poor, marginalized, and those outside the traditional power structures of both society and the church. Francis took his name from St. Francis of Assisi, signaling his intention to lead with humility and simplicity. From the outset, he eschewed many of the formal trappings of the papacy, opting to live in a modest guest house instead of the apostolic palace and traveling in a simple Fiat rather than the usual papal limousine. These symbolic choices set the tone for a papacy rooted in accessibility, humanity, and compassion. Over his 12-year tenure, Pope Francis championed a number of progressive causes within the Catholic Church. He called for urgent action on climate change with the landmark 2015 encyclical Laudato Si', encouraging global environmental stewardship. He also worked to reshape the Church's approach to LGBTQ+ individuals, famously declaring, "Who am I to judge?" when asked about gay priests early in his papacy. While he upheld traditional teachings on marriage, he pushed for a more inclusive and merciful church. Francis emphasized interfaith dialogue, meeting with leaders from Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, and other religions in a spirit of mutual respect. He was the first pope to visit the Arabian Peninsula, and he forged a historic declaration of fraternity with the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar in 2019, promoting peace and coexistence across faith traditions. Domestically, he focused heavily on church reform, including efforts to tackle the deeply entrenched issue of clerical sexual abuse. While his efforts drew both praise and criticism, he implemented stricter reporting requirements and launched investigations into church institutions. Francis also reorganized the Roman Curia, streamlining church governance and increasing the role of lay people, especially women, in decision-making positions. He was a strong advocate for migrants and refugees, repeatedly urging nations to embrace compassion over fear. On numerous occasions, he visited migrant camps and washed the feet of refugees, prisoners, and the poor, acts of service that embodied his core values of humility, solidarity, and mercy. Despite his widespread popularity, Pope Francis also faced resistance from conservative factions within the Church who viewed his views as too liberal. Nonetheless, he remained steadfast in his mission, often reminding critics that the Church should be a field hospital after battle, tending first to those who suffer, rather than upholding rigid doctrine. His death has sparked mourning around the globe, with tributes pouring in from world leaders, religious figures, and everyday believers. Many praised his unwavering moral clarity, his empathy for the vulnerable, and his unshakable commitment to living the gospel in action. As the Church enters a period known as sede vacante, the time between popes, the world reflects on a papacy that bridged divides, challenged conventions, and inspired millions. Pope Francis's legacy will endure in the Church's renewed focus on compassion, justice, and inclusivity, and in the hearts of those he touched with his simple yet profound message: love one another.